gentlemen, welcome to the arena. Today there will be an epic rap battle between the Miller and the Reeve. Begin!
I'm gonna tell you a story, and I hope it don't bore you, for I don't want to pay the expenses of the day. Now there was a carpenter, a fit and hard worker. He went by the name John and was in for a great con. This man had a wife and lived a very jealous life. She was pretty, beautiful, but rather unfaithful. Because there was a scholar and he didn't hesitate to holler, he went by Nick and played a sneaky clever trick to get the wife away from the carpenter's gaze. So the wife gave her heart away so he could have some play. And it was Absalom. I'll get to this lover later on. Nick devised a plan to scare the poor old man. He told a great flood that would bring large blood. He said,
"Go fetch 3 barrels lest we face great peril. Hang them from the rafters. Hurry, go faster."
Poor old John scurried and worked in the flurry. Once his work was done and the barrels were hung, they climbed in with restraint as they waited for the rain. Or so poor John thought, for he was unaware of this plot. So tired from the day's chore, he quickly went into a snore. Hearing his loud Z's, Nick and the wife slipped out with ease. They ran straight up to his room where hot lovemaking ensued. Then Absalom came to sing to the wife that evening. He begs for one kiss, saying, "I'll
Go away after this."
The wife reluctantly agrees, but has a trick up her sleeve. Absalom gets what he asks and makes out with her.
Whoa. Keep it clean. Continue.
Outraged by this cruel trick, Absalom pulled out a hot stick and smote Nicholas in the behind, a pain that made poor Nick whine. Scalded by the pain, Nick shouted for water in vain. Upon hearing his cries, the carpenter cut his ties. He fell from the rafters and hit the ground after. He awoke from his daze, and people said he was crazed. They proceeded to mock him for the rest of his days.
That was good. Can the Reeve top that? We'll find out now.
Mr. Miller tells a good tale, but mine shall be good as well. Over a brook there lived a miller, and he was quite a killer. He was a brute of a foe, and a thief of grain and oat. They called him Simkin, and dare not oppose him. There were these 2 scholars that were tight on the dime. Their names were Alan and John, and they were about to be the miller's pawns. They were aware of his ruse, and believing they wouldn't lose, they devised a scheme to best his clever queen.
We'll watch the whole process to make sure he doesn't cross us.
They took up their positions, but aroused suspicion. Immediately he was aware he didn't want to make things fair. While the scholars were distracted, the miller's plan was enacted. He slipped out the back and released the horses with a crack. They couldn't find their steeds, so they were forced to plead. Without their horses, they couldn't follow their courses. He offered them his hospitality, and they thanked him with formality. Once night had come and they were in bed, Alan turned to his friend and said,
"Look, I know we've been cheated. We need payment for what we did.
To that the other said,
I'd rather just stay in bed."
Alan said with a glower,
"His daughter I will deflower.
John powdered in his bed. An idea popped into his head.
I'll pull the baby from where it's kept and fool the mother of where she slept."
After the mother went out to pee, she re-entered the room, but it was too dark to see. Upon finding the infant, she knew it was her bed in an instant. However, she crawled into the bed with the steaming John instead. And John, without delay, proceeded to have his way. The lovemaking went on till almost done. When Alan was done and he had had his fun, he tried to find John's bed, but ended up with the miller instead. He started to brag about his night, and the miller awoke with spite. After hearing his actions, the miller had quite a reaction. He swung with his fists and tried to beat the culprits. The wife joined in, but accidentally struck her husband. The boys quickly fled, grabbing their stolen bread, making haste back to their college, while the miller surely bled.
Who won? You decide.